waiting for that. Let me welcome everyone to the ELPCO meeting for January 2021. We're in here and our first meeting of the year. We've got an interesting agenda, hopefully with some kind of audience participation, getting folks to help us plan some of the meetings that we are going to be having for the coming year. So with that, I'd like to introduce the members of the ELPCO board. And actually, Daryl, as I'm getting the Facebook Live going, do you mind introducing the members that are here? Oh, you're muted, Daryl.
Sorry, I apologize. I'm technologically challenged between eyes and hands. Judy Short is our land use representative. She's here. Christina Robb is our west of east rep. Detective Meinzer, who is our, you're going to have to correct me on your new title, Detective. We're used to community liaison detective, is here. Tim Cosgrove, Mayor's liaison, is online with us. Good evening, Tim. Landon Clark, who is the community council chair for Sugar House, is with us. I see him. Jeff Larson, who's the East Emerson representative here. Brad Shoup, West Emerson, is with us. Who am I missing?
One second.
Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you. I thought that was me.
No, that was one of the folks that have decided to come on. I'm going to be very judicious in terms of who I let in. So did we get everyone, Daryl?
I believe so. I don't know if I've missed anyone here.
Okay. We actually are doing the interviews for the at-large members right now. And we will hopefully be having some new members joining the board once we finish the interview process for that. Just so everyone knows, we are recording this meeting and it is live on Facebook. Was able to get that going. So hopefully everyone's okay with that. And if you're not, you can always turn off your video so people won't be criticizing your household decor. Very good potted plant, Daryl, I must admit. It's looking good. Let's see here. Let's move then to the first item on our agenda. And that would be an introduction from Detective Meinzer, who is joining us for the first time, but is not unfamiliar with community councils, having worked, I believe, in District 6 and perhaps even District 7 and some of the community councils there. But this is your first time in front of the ELPCO audience, so we appreciate that you're here. I'm hoping that you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your approach to the community liaison process with Salt Lake City Police.
Absolutely. My microphone's a little bad, so if you don't hear me very well, just let me know and I'll hold it closer to my mouth. So I'm Detective Meinzer. The new title is the Liberty Division Community Liaison Officer. It's a real mouthful and I mess it up all the time. I'm just your detective. That's the easiest way to say it. So I've been the CIU officer for District 6 for the past year. Our department decided to try and move some bodies back to patrol to try and have that front line and provide some better service to our folks living in the city. And part of that was kind of downsizing our squad. So I now cover Districts 5, 6, and 7. So yep, I do go to a lot of community council meetings. There's a few that conflict and I try to reach out to those folks and organize time slots to make it work. So I want to say I've been an officer for 7 years. I've worked in every part of the city. I've been on bikes. I've worked every shift that there is to try and understand the city, and I've come to love the city, and I really have enjoyed my last year working with the citizens because my approach to how I do my job is very much, you guys are the ones that live here. You guys are the ones that see everything. And if we're going to be trying to fix our failures where we're failing and how we can do better, we need to hear from you guys. So that is how I work. It's all about hearing from our citizens, you guys telling me, hey, this is working, this isn't working. Hey, we're worried about this issue or that issue. And I'm here to try and help for those long-term issues. So with the change that the department did, obviously it's a lot of area that I cover. So I can't really work my hand on every little issue, but I do pass that information along. So anything that comes my way, it gets passed to the appropriate people that would be able to handle it. But the big issues that are like the hot spots in crime, those are things that I'll be working on directly with my division commanders. And that will be what takes my focus. So the smaller things, I get them to the right people that can handle them. But the big things, that's kind of where my wheelhouse will be. So, like I said, it's up to you guys to let me know what issues you guys have, because I only work 40 hours a week. I now cover 3 districts. It's a lot of area to cover, and I don't get to see everything that happens. I check very closely with our stats. I work every week with our ComStat unit to try and get up to date on what's going on, what trends are kind of going up, what are going down. But the biggest thing for me is I want to hear from you guys, what's the issue? Because you guys, like I said, you live here, and if it quacks like a duck, I'm going to trust you that it's a duck, and I'm going to try and work on it with you. Okay. And like I said, if you guys think that there's something that we could do differently or better, let me know, because I'm not a genius, and I might be like, hey, you know, what if we try this approach? And if it doesn't work, maybe you have the right idea and you could say, hey, I had this idea. That's great. So when I was with District 6, I did want to talk about this. So about a year ago, we had a big increase in larceny cases. So people were breaking into cars. They were stealing packages, which is a big thing. And the citizens reached out to me in force about it.
Can you get on it?
Hello, Espinoza Hernandez. So the citizens reached out, and they were telling me that they're having these increase in car prowls. So that actually brought it to my attention before our stats did. So our stats didn't catch up till about a week later. So having been told about it, I was already looking for it. So I was already trying to dig into the stats, see what was going on. So that ended up being a really big issue. And our department ended up doing an operation, and we were able to determine that over 80 of the cases were linked, and we had multiple people that were linked to those. We did get federal charges on those people. So it's very important. Yeah. So it's very important that you guys do reach out, because I do take what you say very seriously. Kind of threw me off my rocker there for a minute.
Sorry about that. We're going to have to remove some folks here.
So what I would like to do, though, is I'd like to hear from you guys. So if anybody has anything you'd like to share, any concerns, thoughts, feelings, I mean, I'm here for you guys. I don't have any other time conflicts tonight, so I'll be here for the rest of the meeting if that's okay. And I'll turn it back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Detective Meinzer. I apologize for that interruption, being a little bit more careful in terms of scrolling through here. It's unfortunate. It means that it's hard for us to welcome new people to the group, because if I don't recognize their name, then I'm putting them in the waiting room. So we'll reevaluate this for a future meeting. This is the first time that that's happened here in ELPCO. The contact information for you, Detective Meinzer, is on the back of our agenda. What is the best way for people to reach out to you?
Your preference. So I have my email on there, my work cell phone, and my desk phone. If you call me after hours, if I don't answer, you can shoot me a text or leave me an email, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I pride myself in being very responsive. So if you do send a message to me, email, text, phone, I'll get back to you quickly. Sometimes it might be a little bit later in the day, but I try and get back to you guys as soon as I can. Got it.
And you will be working with us for, I assume, a long amount of time, right? This will be a year or two, or perhaps even longer?
Yeah, so my intent is I would like to remain in this position until one day that I could get promoted. It's kind of a stepping stone for me to kind of get my feet wet into the detective realm. I've been doing it for a year, and I've actually come to really like it. I like working with the community councils. I'm personally invested in the city because my mom grew up here. I have family that lives in Salt Lake City, up in District 6, actually. So I've grown to be very fond of the city, and I really like working with everybody that lives here because it's not the same old thing all day, every day, responding to calls, but I actually get to kind of work on problems that I feel more satisfied working on. You know, I get more job satisfaction out of it. So.
Got it. Okay. Any questions for Detective Meinzer?
So I've been a police officer for 7 years.
Got it. And you were in the military before that, is that right, Detective Meinzer?
Yes, I was.
Got it. All right. Any other questions for Detective Meinzer?
If he says military, I have to know what branch.
I don't think it's the
well,
one that
just
you...
looking at you, I would say that you were not a Marine, so we're probably cool with each other. I was in the Army.
We are cool.
Okay. Other questions? No, I think we're good. Okay. Well, thank you. We look forward to having you come back to some more meetings. And if you have any advice about how to police Zoom chats, we'd appreciate that as well. It's electronic warfare, I guess, is one way to describe it. I think we've got everything pretty well situated right now, but I'm going to try to keep an eagle eye on that. If there are no more questions, we can move on to the next part of the agenda, which actually is kind of exciting. Some of you might have heard about Brick's Corner, which is a new pizza place that opened up on 700 East. It's about the 1400 block of 700 East. Opening up a new restaurant in the middle of a pandemic is definitely not easy. We've been delighted to hear the reviews that people really enjoy this new eatery in Salt Lake City and really close to ELPCO. We actually were involved a little bit in the process because the owner had to petition to get a couple changes made to what used to be the Liberty Park Emporium, an antique store, which was the building that he now owns and has put his restaurant into. So about 1.5 years ago, we met up on I think it was a snowy day in Salt Lake City, and went to a planning commission meeting and talked all about it and kind of worked through some of the issues. And it's kind of very satisfying to see, many months later that the restaurant is up, that it's open, definitely difficult times, but seems to be doing well. And so Nancy Phillip, who is the 9th and 9th business liaison, and I, we sat down and talked to the owner, Josh, who we met those many months ago, who is now running this restaurant. And so because, 7 o'clock on a Thursday night is a really tough time for a restaurateur to take time away to talk to ELPCO, we recorded our conversation with him. And so I'm going to start. I want to welcome Josh Potisha, the owner and operator of Brick's Corner, a new restaurant in ELPCO, to ask him a couple questions about his new food offering, which is going to be pretty exciting, I think, for a lot of our residents. So Josh, you originally came from South Carolina, but you've been living in Utah for a couple of years now. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. I came out to Utah about 6 years ago for a trip to Snowbird. Fell in love with the mountains, the lifestyle, the city. Couldn't believe that I could fly in from the East Coast, be on the most epic mountain in the world, and then come back down and see a concert and get a great meal in a beautiful city the same day. Unbelievable. So.
Wow. So Salt Lake City captured you. And so you decided about 1 year or two ago to see if you could open a restaurant here. And how did you find the location? What was that like?
So I about 4 years ago, I moved into the Sugar House area, and I just started venturing around, and it reminded me growing up in Chicago. I grew up in Wrigleyville, and we would walk to just neighborhood pizzerias and little bistros and cafes all the time. And I felt that there was a true need for more of that in the Sugar House and this whole area of Salt Lake City. And my wheels just started spinning in my mind. And I kept my eye open, and soon enough, I did find a location on 700 that I just fell in love with, and I thought it would make the perfect location for a neighborhood restaurant pizzeria. And then I got the building, and then the plans began, and I designed the whole building. I was able to work with an architect that allowed me to do the design from beginning to end and put it together, and then work with the city of Salt Lake to make my dream come true.
And I'm seeing in the background, I see garage doors. Is that right? That the building has garage doors that can open and perhaps allow people to have a little bit of fresh air as they eat when it gets a little warmer?
Absolutely, yeah. We have 3 bay doors. The building was actually in the early 40s was a service station. And after that, it changed hands a few times for different service stations. And then it became Liberty Park Emporium. So it was an antique store, but they always kept the bay doors on the front of the building, which really added to the character of the building and the neighborhood. So I definitely wanted to incorporate that into my design. And what I really spent a lot of time with the city of Salt Lake was trying to get a patio, and a patio that would be user-friendly, you know, all season long. And we were able to construct a beautiful patio. It's insulated from floor to ceiling and has radiant heaters, 150,000 BTUs of heating out there. Some days it's been in the low 20s outside, and it's averaging about 65 in the patio. Huh. So in the summertime and spring, we look forward to being able to roll the windows up and then pop the doors up. And the whole design of the building is it's an open floor plan, so you can get the indoor outdoor ambiance really with the garage doors, the big bay doors.
Wow, so kind of a walkable neighborhood restaurant with some great al fresco outdoor dining options.
Absolutely.
That sounds very appetizing, but there's probably even more appetizing stuff about your restaurant. So I want to ask Nancy Phillip, our 9th and 9th business liaison, to kind of delve into your menu in this interesting thing called Detroit style pizza.
Yes, so Josh, I'm curious about your menu items and the pizza that you create there in your restaurant. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Thanks, Nancy. So growing up in Chicago, we're used to deep dish pizza. We love our deep dish, thick pizza, heavy toppings, thick sauce, cheese on the bottom. But the Chicago style pizza that I grew up with was a little bit different than more authentic style pizza. And when I decided to open a pizzeria, I actually did a lot of research. And I worked with a chef in Chicago who is a deep dish expert pizza chef, Leo Spizzeri. And I worked with him to come up with my recipe, and it kind of changed into Detroit style, but it's also kind of a morph between the 2 styles of pizza. So the toppings lean more towards Chicago style, but the actual dough and the crust leans more towards Detroit style. I serve it it's a rectangle pizza, hence the name Bricks. And the name Bricks Corner represents the best part of the pizza is the corner of the pizza, as well as it's a corner building. But by creating a rectangle pizza, I could add a lot of culinary flair to the pizza that in a traditional large deep dish round pizza, you just don't get away with the way you would with a Detroit style pizza. So the dough is super crispy on the bottom. It goes through, it's a 24-hour aging process. I struggled after I built the building to get the dough to cooperate the way I wanted it to. And I was talking with Chef Leo in Chicago, and we were just scratching our heads like, what's going on here? So we did an experiment where we took some water and I changed the pH and the mineral content of it, and I matched it to the water back in the Midwest. And it worked. So what I ended up doing is I ran a full reverse osmosis system in the kitchen. It's up in the ceiling. It goes through 5 filters, and then it goes to a spout right to the mixer. So the water that's coming out of there is literally Michigan, Chicago water. I mean, just right out of the tap into this beautiful giant mixer that I got in Pennsylvania and drove across the country to get it out here. Yeah, so the pizza is it's unique, it's different, and it's a lot of heart goes into making this product.
That's fantastic, and I hope you captured the Michigan humidity in
yes,
the process.
Absolutely. Yeah, we need a little humidity here for sure. So
Josh,
yeah.
Tell us about the pizza. Sounds amazing. Tell us about other menu items that you have.
Okay, so the menu, I have different appetizers. So our mozzarella sticks, we hand bread the mozzarella. They're the size of butter sticks. We use a fresh house-made garlic crouton with it. We add grated Parmesan when they're done. And I know it just sounds like mozzarella sticks, but it does not come out of a bag. I mean, everything in this place is scratch made. My background is a chef. I went to culinary school back in the day. I worked as an executive chef for Marriott, and our salad dressings are, everything is made in-house. So we have a wedge salad, but people have been commenting it's more like a Cobb salad, just with the way the bacon is presented, and then the chopped egg, and then we take tomatoes and Bermuda onions. We toss them with a house vinaigrette and put them on top. We do roasted Brussels sprouts and butternut squash as an appetizer, and we serve that in a iron skillet similar to a fajita. So when it hits the pan, it's sizzling, and I make a whiskey honey glaze that goes on that from the High West Distillery whiskey, and you hit it to the iron and it starts sizzling, and we bring it out to the table, and it's absolutely delicious. And then we do a burger. It's a simple burger. We allocate a really incredible sirloin for that, and it's a double stack burger. We take onions and we caramelize them for about 4 to 6 hours until the natural sugars just really explode from them and they truly caramelize. And then we put a layer of that down, and then I put a Calabrian chili sauce on, and Calabrian is a chili from Italy, and I make an aioli with that Calabrian chili, and we put that on the burger, and then we melt it with thick cut American cheese on a brioche bun, and it's simply delightful. So there are a lot of different options. Yeah.
That sounds amazing. I think I'm hungry.
Yeah.
So a couple questions just about your restaurant. So tell us your hours of operation and then your price points.
Okay, so the hours of operation are, we open at 12 noon every day, and we close at 9 p.m. Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and then 10 p.m. Wednesday through Saturday. What was the other question?
Just your price points.
Oh, price point. Yeah. So the pizzas range, a cheese pizzas are $13, and they go up to 16 or 17, depending on the toppings you put on them. A pizza will feed 2, sometimes 3 people. There's 6 slices, but they're really large slices, and it's deep dish. So it's a pretty hefty meal. The sandwiches, $11 to $12. Salads, side salad, $6, and a large salad is $12 to $13, and then depends if you put a protein on it or not.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Josh, I just wanted to ask a question about how folks can get this food, this amazing food you just described. I presume you do dine in, but do you do order out as well? Can people go to your website or Facebook page and take care of that?
Okay, so we designed this building. We started construction in February. It was really interesting, and then COVID started, and I was faced with a really difficult decision whether to move forward or not, but I was too deep into this project to back out. So we moved forward, and we actually did a lot of things during the construction with COVID in mind. So we actually added an extra bathroom. We enlarged the host area for carryout service. We put in UV sterilization into the HVAC system, insulated and heated the patio. So the dining everything's spaced correctly. We're following all the protocols from the health department on that. So we do have limited dining. And then as for ordering to go, everything is scratch made, and I'm running a limited kitchen. I do not want to overload my kitchen with having too many employees on top of each other. So we don't make mass quantities of food. And unfortunately, we can't take the hundreds of orders that sometimes have been coming in to the restaurant actually on Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, and we have to turn away a lot of pizza. So what we did is we implemented our online ordering, which you can go to the website, which is brickscornerslc.com, and you can do online ordering, and that then breaks up the ordering into increments of time. That way the food, when it hits the kitchen, is spaced out correctly throughout the evening. Everybody is getting the food directly when it leaves the oven and is delivered right to the patron's hands when they walk in the door. but that also limits the amount of food that I can give out. So if you do try to order and you see that it's not available for the day, like today, for instance, it's completely sold out through most of up till tomorrow, actually. And we don't take in the phone orders because we only produce so much pizza. And we want to be able to still accommodate the guests who walk into the restaurant. You know, throughout the weekend, we almost sold 1,000 pizzas, and it's way more than the volume that we can handle. So we're trying to limit it down. And it also allows the patron, when they come, they're not on top of each other in the host area. It's timed, so there's minutes in between. So it's a timeless system. When you walk in, you can get your pizza and leave, and there'll be a minute or two before somebody else is actually walking in the door to accommodate social distancing the best we can.
It sounds like quite a system, and we appreciate the efforts you're taking to keep your staff and, you know, the residents here as safe as possible. But also sounds like you got a hot commodity. A lot of people are interested in your pizza. So maybe without Sundance this year, people will be able to devote their time and energy to figuring out how to get your pizza and use it instead of getting Sundance tickets. So it'll be a good challenge. Well, thank you, Josh, for telling us all about Bricks Corner. We're really glad to have you here in ELPCO. And just to repeat, you're at 1465, is it South 700 East? Is that right?
That's correct, yes.
Right. The nearest cross street, is it Emerson? Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. So really walkable to a lot of our neighborhoods here. And we appreciate all the detail you've taken. As a former Midwesterner myself, I might stop by just to grab some of that Michigan, Chicago water, because I miss it, you know?
Absolutely.
All that in a bottle, right?
Yeah.
So.
And I'm always open to comments. If anybody would like to email me, they can email me directly at brickson700@gmail. I try to respond to every single customer that has any suggestions or anything they'd like to discuss.
Well, thank you for taking the time to introduce your restaurant and all the thought you put into it. And we look forward to showing up and having some pizza, and especially as the weather gets warmer and the pandemic goes away, to really enjoy it to its full extent. So
look forward to serving you. Thank you very much.
Everyone get to hear that? Sorry for making your stomachs rumble a little bit. If that was the case, when he started describing how they make that food, it was pretty intense. And I think we recorded that right before lunch. So that was a challenge. Anybody have any questions about Bricks Corner or about the video that I might be able to answer? As I mentioned, Josh is pretty busy at the restaurant right now, so wasn't able to be on the call. Any questions? No? Okay. All right, and how did that video sharing work? Were you guys able to hear it once I got it up there? Did that work out okay? That worked? Okay. Yeah. Let me make sure. I'm not hearing any responses. Let me, can someone say something just so I can make sure I can hear something?
Can you hear me? It was great. It's a great
No, I'm not hearing anybody. Okay. Let me change my set. There we go. All right. Now we're good. I can. Too much technology.
I was muted for some reason.
And anybody has, it sounds like some folks have been to Bricks Corner so far, so they could give a thumbs up to the food there.
Yeah, we ordered from there. The pizza is amazing. I don't even, it was different and really good. Really good.
Cool. All right. Well, it's ELPCO approved, I guess we could say. And I think we're all looking forward to being a little bit more apt to go out to a restaurant and sit outside and be around people, and that'll even make it better, right? All right. Well, the next part of our agenda, if there's no more questions, is actually talk a little bit about the meetings ideas that we have for 2021. And in the chat, I'm going to go ahead and put let's see if I can scroll through this. Okay. Yep. We had a board meeting about 2 weeks ago, and we came up with a bunch of ideas for upcoming board meetings or upcoming ELPCO meetings throughout 2021, including some of the ideas that we're going to be doing today, but then going on to the next couple of meetings, you know, updates on Salt Lake City schools with the reopening that's going on, different projects and kind of first-person examples of how people are doing things, from Google Fiber to applying to a CIP grant, which is a kind of a big grant that the capital improvement project that can improve your neighborhood. We have Jojo Liu coming hopefully in February to talk to us about that in her neighborhood on McClelland. How to prepare your garden, kind of service information. You know, how to get ready to grow that second victory garden for the summer of 2021 so that you can feed yourself with the vegetables you create. Alley cleanups is another one. Rooftop solar, revisiting a topic that we talked about a couple of years ago. So these are some of the issues that we have on hand and are going to be developing for meetings coming up, including hopefully a social, some sort of outdoor event in July when we feel a little bit more comfortable and it's a little warmer. We can have kind of an event to actually say hello to each other in person. And possibly, and let me actually, I realize it cut off a little bit. Let me put up a second text here. So you guys can see the May, June, and July events. Probably a Salt Lake City Council debate for District 5. So far, there are 3 candidates who have put their names in for that district seat, which means there would be a primary if they continue to stay in the race. So those primary elections are in August, and usually we have a debate in July. So that's another thing that we'll probably be planning. But I wanted to open it up to the community to get some ideas, and I'll be taking notes about other ideas that we can add to our list of issues and topics that you think are important that ELPCO should be covering.
I think the debate is a key idea.
Got it. Okay. So making sure that we definitely do one.
Yeah. For District 5. Who are the candidates so far?
The candidates are most likely Darren Mono, who's the incumbent, who's there right now. A gentleman named Angel Jimenez, I believe, and then a guy named, I think, Paul Laub has just filed. You can actually see who files on the Salt Lake City Recorder website. If you go and look at the campaign finance documents, you can see that. Sometimes people file and drop out, so it's a little hard to tell. But right now there are 3 candidates in District 5. We've often combined with other community councils to host those debates. Does that sound like a good idea, again, to do that?
Good.
Folks are interested in that? Okay. What about some other ideas? Things, and sometimes this is like a topic that you've heard 1 or 2 people talk about, and you're like, hey, maybe there is some community interest. There's some folks want to hear more about it. And it could be something that is also just very specific to your neighborhood, because it could be something that other neighborhoods are interested in as well.
You know, I like the idea of a crime prevention workshop, having the detective talk about everything that can help. I'm just appalled at the number of people that still keep valuable stuff in their cars. Don't have lighting around their house. Mm-hmm. All that stuff.
Right. You definitely read that people are like, you know, the one time I left my car unlocked is the time that someone comes by and takes my stuff, you know.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's happened to me though too. That's been the case with me, and it's like maybe we could do a little bit more. I saw Nathan Florence. I'm sorry, go Judy. Yeah.
Somebody said on Nextdoor that they think the same guys go and check door handles every night, all of them up and down the street. And one guy had that thought because he could track them in the snow.
Interesting. Okay. That's kind of an interesting way to do it. Yeah. Anybody else have some ideas? I saw Nathan Florence mentioned an art walk. That is something that we have not done. Could you describe that a little bit more, what you're thinking? Or maybe Christina, Rob, I know you've been involved in art walks before. Do you think that could work for an ELPCO meeting or some sort of, maybe even a roving meeting, so to speak?
Yeah, either. I'm also thinking, I didn't know if ELPCO, if it was necessarily a meeting or a sort of an event that was more of a community event. I've been talking with Jan Haworth, who just lives over by the Herman Franks Park there, and about all of the artists that live along 8th East as part of the conversation about the 8th East neighborhood byway. We've been trying to figure out ways to get local artists work that serves multiple purposes as traffic calming, maybe traffic blocking, signage, art, place markers, you know, sort of a combination of things. And it made us start thinking that like, well, we should also do maybe a community event that would be an art walk that would sort of invite a lot of people to take part in that. And I thought that, you know, as you're looking for sort of ELPCO, I mean, you're more specifically like ELPCO meetings, but this could be kind of a combination of that. And also just an awareness for people to get more people to be aware of, well, first of all, what an awesome job you're doing, but just like how important these little community organizations continue to be in this conversation.
I really like that idea, Nathan. And you know, one thing that's been proven successful is Salt Lake City Planning has done architecture walks where they will meet in a certain neighborhood, like the avenues, or even I think they did one in 9th and 9th, and have someone kind of go around from almost like station to station. It's like a docent tour, and learn about the architecture or about the history of that area. That sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? So.
Yeah, even a combination of those things, like that would be awesome. Sort of a curated neighborhood tour.
And one time UMOCA actually created a art installation that was only done in people's yards.
Right.
And so that's maybe if that happens again, that would be cool too.
Right.
Or you could put them all on the west side of 8th East in that grassy area. Have all the out there.
Right.
Oh yeah, like the median area, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
So East Central Community Council, they did a something called Porch Fest, and that was, you know, a walking stroll through the neighborhoods with different musicians set up on each person's patio. The issue that we're having right now with, you know, gallery strolls and things in the city is because of COVID. It isn't something that people are really coming out for right now. It's not like going to the grocery store or something that people are leaving their house for. So that the people in the 9th and 9th business district have always been super wonderful about putting art in their businesses, inviting local artists. But all of them have not been doing that as a result of COVID. But but with that Porch Fest, it was really cool because we were able to invite some artists to show along with the musicians on the porches, which might be very COVID friendly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, walking along the sidewalk.
Did you guys, I don't know if you were aware of this too, but there were several streets. I was part of a group on Bryan Ave over the summer. We just did porch concerts all summer.
Yeah. Every Wednesday
night, and it turned into like the whole street would come out and people would sit in the street, they'd sit on the medians, and it was awesome. So, you know, just kind of continuing with that kind of thing and be awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we have a lot of resources, and we have, I mean, because I'm the director of the gallery stroll and because you guys are artists and because we worked with UMOCA on all of their, you know, they just did the, I can't remember what they called it, where all the statuaries going up all around. It seems like they're calling it something about gnomes as well, but it wasn't really.
That was the roundabout, Christina, most likely?
No. UMOCA actually launched an initiative where they did programming also called lawn gnomes, even though they were not lawn gnomes. They were actually, you know, statuary or, you know, artist commissioned pieces that were going up all around the city. So, I mean, there's just so many options for this kind of thing, but I do really want to support our businesses who are, you know, COVID shy, and the art on the wall definitely doesn't necessarily do anything to help them sell the things that they need to stay alive right now. So
I wonder about a combination there too, where you could do sort of a co-sponsor, or maybe the art walk, you know, goes through there where a storefront is available for orders, or, you know, I don't know. I love that idea too, of this sort of supporting that mutual support of that community, because that's such a vital part.
So quick question, Jason, just about how are our businesses doing? Do we have some data how our ELPCO businesses are doing and kind of what they might need in order to give them additional support, as well as control their in-person crowding? That video really struck home as, you know, he was talking about being too busy and how that was complicating his business.
So I've talked to a couple of business owners, and one is a flora shop actually downtown. That's one of my neighbors. I've talked to Sheridan Mordew from Hip and Humble. That was about a month ago. Talked to a couple others, and I mean, the paycheck protection stuff, if they got that, that was a lifesaver. That enabled them to actually keep people on and going. But these businesses are between 20% down and breaking even, you know, with no profit from what I've talked to. And I'm sure there's others that are doing much worse. And we've seen Mazda has closed, Tallulah Gifts or Tallulah Gallery on 11th East closed about 3 months ago. So there definitely are a lot of places that are hurting. It's just how long is this going to go on? And I agree, Christina, what can we do to support them? You know, sidewalk sales, getting the merchandise out on the sidewalk, things like that. I think if we can attract crowds, the businesses will be able to figure out how to sell things to them. So we just have to attract the crowds in a safe way.
Yeah, that's a safe way issue, because like Tallulah, there was health concerns, you know? So these are the things that if we can wait for the summer months, I think, you know, the world's kind of an oyster as far as these kind of things, you know, once it starts to warm up a little bit.
You have a lot more flexibility. Yeah.
I'm in, whoever wants to plan.
That's great. We've got some really good expertise. Nathan, do you want to add something?
Well, I was going to ask, speaking of those little restaurants, do you and featuring the new pizza place, do we know anything about Lola?
We're super excited.
Yeah, Lola Mexican Kitchen, I think it is. Yeah. So I have the email address of the owner, and they're getting our newsletters. We added them to our newsletter list. We haven't done direct outreach to them yet. But, you know, starting with Rick's Kitchen, I think Pie Fight is another new eatery, very popular in 9th and 9th. I don't know if you've seen that. It's a kind of a window location right next to Tomorrow's House, right next to Publix.
And spilled milk.
Yeah, so we're going to try to bring in, especially the newer businesses, but then also keep the, you know, try to profile a new business every month in the newsletter and at the meeting. We wish we could have free food. That would be the best thing, right? Like, we were actually meeting, we would have like pizza and pie and all this great stuff. But we're going to try to do our part to help them out. We're also with the businesses going to be working on another parking approach. We're actually working with Salt Lake City Transportation on that as a way to alleviate some of the daytime parking in the 9th and 9th area, so that more customers can come in and find a spot for those out of area customers. So basically it'll be finding a place for the employees to park in a satellite parking lot that would free up space for customers to come in.
Like the ocean of parking at Smith's right now?
You've got it. That is who we're talking to. So
that's great.
Well, they should be very receptive to that. They have been in the past. They've indicated that they would be, but who knows?
We'll see.
Yeah, we're just starting that process. Actually going to probably survey the 9th and 9th business owners to find out what times of day, what, how many employees, which stores would be most interested in this project. So that was a bunch of emails this week. You guys are right on what we're talking about. And it's really cool that we have so much art and culture within ELPCO. I feel our meetings really haven't captured that in a long time. So it's great that if we can do something to bring that part of ELPCO to the forefront, I'm really excited about that. Any other ideas for meetings or topics that we could cover in 2021? I'll try to prime the pump a bit. One idea we had in our board meeting was getting a local historian to come and do a presentation about, you know, what about that golf course that used to be at historic Gilmer? You know, the first hole used to be right where the roundabout is. There's a golf course there about 115 years ago. Or why do our neighborhoods have weird names? Like one begins with a W. You know, when you look at Google Maps, you see these overlays of these different names for the neighborhoods that really have nothing to do with what exists now. Or what is the history of the McClellan Canal? Is there really a bunch of water running underneath McClellan Street? and what does that look like? So getting someone to kind of come in and talk about the hidden history and the hidden architecture and the hidden backstory on why ELPCO is the way it is. So that's another idea we had, including the fact that I think there used to be 3 gas stations at 9th and 9th at one point. Continental Cleaners used to be a gas station. Vessel Kitchen used to be a gas station. And maybe it was just those 2. So it's interesting how things have transitioned over the years. Other ideas? Folks want to put them in the chat or talk out?
One thing Sugar House does is have a new business every month. So that, have that be a regular thing on the agenda.
Yeah, that's something I think we're going to be trying to do. We're going to try to have kind of a business profile like we did with Brick's Kitchen today. So,
but it could be a gallery one time and a restaurant another time.
Yeah, mixing it up, and old and new as well.
Right.
Jason?
George, are you able to join? Oh, I'm sorry, Elizabeth, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. I was just saying this is a great list. I really love what you've presented here. One question I had, are they doing any type of neighborhood cleanup or pickup this year, or is it still where you make an appointment? It might be good to just investigate on that and figure out what the protocol is for this year.
Right. Wasn't it called click it and call it or something like that?
Call
to haul. Right. Okay.
Call to haul. So, okay.
Right. So what is the plan? I know Mayor Mendenhall was interested in maybe revisiting that decision to end the neighborhood cleanup. It had pluses and minuses, but yeah, that's a great thing. We'll check that out. It's kind of like a neighborhood garage sale on people's parking strip. You can pick up a lot of cool things sometimes during that week. Good question. Any other ones? Looks like, okay. Oh, Andrew wrote something about our transit-oriented subdivisions, that Gilmer Park and ELPCO was one of the first areas, I believe, that was really focused on the old trolley cars that used to be here. So,
Jason, if I can pipe in here.
Yeah.
During our board meeting, we talked about how busy the intersection on 1300 South and 8th East is, principally with the 13th South traffic. And the 8th East trail planning stages. Andrew lives right by there, and I'm certain we've all driven that and seen how dangerous it is to try and cross that street. We very much like to be part of that discussion to make that intersection a lot safer for pedestrians.
That's right across from the ball fields, right? The dog park. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if there's a ball game and the dogs are all there, if it's 5:30 in the afternoon, it's a mess.
I wonder, and we'll have Laura Handworker from Salt Lake City Transportation at our next meeting in February to talk about the 8th East Neighborhood Byway. That's a good chance for us to pitch the idea of a safer crossing, because that neighborhood byway, I presume, would go all the way, from 8th South, probably all the way down to 17th South or 21st South. So it would definitely capture those crossings.
Hey, Jason, it will actually go all the way to the end of Salt Lake City. I mean, it'll go all the way to the end. I think it'll go to 27th South.
Wow. Okay.
So, and at this point, it might even extend further north than 8th South. So it's pretty cool. Those have been really great meetings.
All right. Well, we look forward to an update next month. That'll be great. That'll be a nice project. Sort of something that COVID handed to us, and maybe we can make some lemonade out of that lemon, of
That's
learning
exciting.
how to shut down streets and enjoy our outdoors a little more. Got it.
Hey, I have an idea for something you could do that's more informative. The groundwater really took us by surprise when we moved to this neighborhood. So I don't know if you could give people pointers on how to manage that. We were without power with that outage for 5 days. And our sump pumps were crazy. We had to get generators. They're just giving people some pointers on backup plans and stuff.
Where do you live?
I live on Logan and like 12th.
Really?
There's groundwater like crazy.
Yeah, there are a lot of underground springs.
You know, we were talking about the McClellan Trail. I mean, I think that's kind of all connected.
So maybe public utilities for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I mean, I've had to struggle through, I mean, and talking to neighbors and stuff, but I don't know if a lot of people have this issue in our general vicinity.
We could maybe combine it with a discussion of getting that sewer pipe insurance too, which is a question we get a lot of whether or not that's legit, whether it's a good idea. The city, I think, has like a sewer insurance company that they recommend, and heard some good things about it. So that could be a how to prevent your house from sinking into the ground conversation, I guess.
Can I make a comment? This is George Chapman.
Yeah, hi, George.
The whole street from 11th East to the east has a spring issue, and it's typical actually throughout Salt Lake City. At the bottom of a hill, there tends to be a lot of water. So yes, there are a lot of homes that have the same problem. The only way to get rid of it, we've found, is dig a trench around the house and put in a kind of a drain, a ceramic collector for the water, and drain it out someplace. Otherwise, your basement's going to continue to be flooded. We've had issues with basements in the area rotting through the wood floor, and they end up with concrete floors. So, yeah, it's all over the area from 11th East to the east.
Got it. Thank you, George. They're actually, if you want to see this in operation, go up to 1200 East and Gilmer Drive. There was a spring that kind of cut loose in Gilmer Park, and they have fire hoses that are gushing with water, taking it out of the ground and onto the street and down into the sewer. And it's 24/7, just a continuous fire hose stream. And this person's front yard is all torn up because it basically caved in. So
this
big
happens
issue. Yeah.
all the time in west of East.
Yeah.
They've dug up the streets, and the city has come through and re-diverted water to the alleys. But as soon as they get one re-diverted, another one pops up. So it's kind of an endless thing for the city.
When they did the bathrooms in Herb Franks Park, the one by 7th East, my plumber did it, and he said 2 feet below the ground, it's just like a river. So they had to kind of put it up on a higher foundation, so they had enough room to put the pipes in. It's crazy.
And we live in a desert, and yet the water is where we don't want it to be, and it's not where we want it to be.
We can't save it for the garden.
Yeah. You know, something we could add to that conversation would be earthquake reinforcement as well. All of these unreinforced brick houses, there's a brick program that the city runs, which I know is extremely oversubscribed, and people can be on waiting lists for a long time. But I do know of an ELPCO resident who actually redid his house and made it so that it's reinforced just when he did a renovation. So there's ways when you fix your house up, you can actually make the walls thicker and strengthen things to make it more earthquake safe. So I'll just add that to the general disaster discussion topic. How about that? As if we're not in 1 or 2 already. Daryl, yeah, go ahead.
A lot of us may not realize that Red Butte Creek runs right through the middle of ELPCO, and the historic flood was at 83, where State Street became a river. That was one of the prime contributors to that flood.
Got it. Yeah, I've seen pictures of that. Sandbags along State Street, right?
Daryl, this is George Chapman again. Can I make another comment?
Sure.
I emailed you a suggestion. There's a lot of work planned for the 9th South Street reconstruction and redesign, and ELPCO, I'm sure, would be very, very interested in it. And the 9-line trail is supposed to continue work to 7th East in the next year. And so Tom Millar would be a good addition to ELPCO in the future, near future.
Thank you, George. We've actually had the 9-Stop folks come by. It was a couple months ago, and we are pretty engaged in that project. A lot of what we're doing is taking what we learned from the initial part of that construction around from 13th East to Lincoln, and advising the other community councils in the city as they move forward about how to, avoid some of the pitfalls that happened with our segment, at least on the east side of ELPCO. So, yeah, we're definitely engaged in that.
Did you get the parking study done?
That we are working on. Yeah, those meetings are happening, and in fact, the Smiths discussion we just had is a part of that. So it's a little slow. There's a lot of stakeholders, but we are still moving forward on it. There's about 3 ELPCO board members that are a part of that. Any other meeting ideas? I feel like it's oftentimes it's just 1 or 2 people who come up with these ideas, and that means we're stuck in that person's zone. I mean, I would be talking about battleships if I had my way, right? That would be exciting meetings for me, but really like to get the community involved. You can also email us if you come up with ideas. Our emails are on the roster, ELPCO Salt Lake City at elpcoslc@gmail.com. Tim, did I see that you wanted to say something?
Just wanted to bounce off 2 of the ideas that you had talked about with rooftop solar and gardens, and this being a good year for gardens, except if there's a drought. But the city also has 2 other programs in adopting an alleyway that we're trying to encourage people to look at ways, creative uses of alleyways, like creating either additional green space areas. You can go out, have safe areas to exercise, walk your dogs, maybe a picnic, a family party. That's a big option. And then our urban forestry guy, Tony Gliot, has also offered to come out and do a workshop for all the community councils on adopting a urban forestry subcommittee within the community council. And all of those kind of complement each other with the alleyways and renewable energy, green, clean air, green space.
That's great. Yeah. I think that is a topic we haven't talked about enough. How to keep your trees healthy, especially if you have some new plantings that are going in. We know Mayor Mendenhall has been really interested in adding more trees and greens to the city, especially after we lost so many in the windstorm. So could you send me his contact info, the urban forester for Salt Lake? That's a good conversation to have. I happen to have a cherry tree in my front yard that I'm probably killing. I'd definitely like to ask him how to keep it alive, because don't want to lose it if I can't.
I think it was Daryl that also touched on on the call to Hall, but Department of Sustainability has really innovated that program. It's broader than it was before. It's more friendlier, more transitional, so you could have them come and give an update as well.
Okay. One other topic I want to mention, and that actually, also tonight, the city had a big forum for the Racial Equity and Policing Commission. It started at 6 o'clock. Luckily, didn't completely overlap with ELPCO. It was just a little bit before. But the issue of police reform, homelessness, crime and perceived crime in our community, those are issues that we talk about when we have Detective Meinzer, or Detective King before him, but we've never really done a big focus on it. What is people's appetites for that? And is ELPCO facing some issues that in those topics that we should be thinking about? Anybody have some comments on that?
So Jason,
yeah.
I'd like to comment as that relates to the projects that we're doing up here west of East as we border right onto East High School. That we've been doing a lot of work in the neighborhood and the surrounding neighborhoods regarding juvenile justice and, you know, sort of trying to help mitigate the school to prison pipeline at the same time working with property owners who are experiencing crime. So we've been working on that for the last 5 years, pretty intensively, working with their school resource officers. So I find that really interesting as it pertains to this area, but it doesn't seem to be a global ELPCO issue. So, you know, maybe if we could work it into something else, if the bigger ELPCO group is interested.
Got it. And maybe bringing some of the experience of what you've done with talking to your neighbors and working with the school up there. I know Sugar House Community Council is having a presentation at their next meeting in February. Landon was on earlier. I don't think he's on. Landon's the chair of Sugar House. I'm dealing with kind of myths and facts about homelessness, crime, recidivism, things like that. So I'm going to try to check that out and see if that's something that might be translatable into our audience. The other idea is that we could have, you know, someone from, you know, kind of like a forum, community groups, Salt Lake City Police, people involved in the reform efforts, kind of come and have a conversation. But I'd really like to tailor it to the issues that ELPCO is facing. And we're not facing the same issues that Ballpark and other communities to the west of us are, but I imagine we are still facing some. And so I'd appreciate if people could let me know or kind of give me some feedback and give all of us feedback on how we could tackle that. We don't want to ignore the issue just because it's not, you know, right in our front yard, because it's a citywide, really a statewide, even nationwide issue we should be approaching. So, okay. If there's no more ideas, I wanted to segue to our next agenda item, and then we'll finish off with Tim Cosgrove. And that is, January is that time where we all think about how can I get more involved? How can I do more? You know, the days are getting longer, the sun's coming out, the snow might be falling. It's been a little dry this year, but you know, it's a chance that people try to get a little bit more involved in their community. I wanted to pitch the idea of joining a city commission. There's a couple of commissions that you see on our agenda: Parks, Natural Lands, Urban Forestry, Public Utilities, and of course our 9th and 9th Festival Planning Team, which is our own little committee, all has room. And specifically those two city commissions have room for District 5 representatives. So that's a chance where there's an open slot that someone from District 5 can put their name in. And you go to www.slc.com or I think it's .gov actually, .gov/boards, boards and commissions, if you can just look that up. I was on the Salt Lake City Bicycle Advisory Committee for 4 years. It's a really great way to actually meet folks from around the city that have a shared interest and make some change and do something to actually get something to happen. Worked on bike trails and bike maps, and it was quite exciting. So, you know, if you got a passion, you want to get involved, joining a city commission is a great way to do that. Of course, everything's on Zoom now, so you can do it in your pajamas as well. So you can still be involved. Has anybody in our audience been on a commission and want to share an experience about that? Anybody done that? It's pretty good. You know, it's a chance to kind of get out of your own neighborhood a little bit, meet folks from around the city, as I mentioned.
I was on the Planning Commission for 10 years.
Really? Okay. Well, that's a big one.
That's how I became such a geek.
Yeah, that's how you know all the zoning codes. Okay. Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's an intense one. There's definitely different levels of intensity. I'll say Bicycle Advisory Committee was not quite the Planning Commission. We didn't get free meals. I guess that's one way to put it. Planning Commission gets free meals.
We didn't get free meals when
okay. They added that after you left.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great way, you know, and when you're thinking about getting involved in the spring, and especially if you got a little cabin fever, you can get involved still inside your cabin, but just meeting and doing work with other people. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions. You know, ELPCO can kind of help with some introductions and pave the way if that's something you'd like us to do. We love to see our representatives, you know, ELPCO members on these commissions making a difference. And with that, Tim Cosgrove from the mayor's office. It's been a big week for the mayor. So Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it was a big week. It's been very busy. The mayor had her State of the City address that was on Tuesday. You know, 2020 proved to be a lot more challenging than anyone would have ever had anticipated. But the mayor, Erin Mendenhall, is very committed, and we're not going to slow down in 2021 and continue to build towards that vision and the goals that she's outlined. Very bold, very progressive. She has 3 major pillars that we're working on, which includes harnessing growth for the good of all residents, leading the way on environmental stewardship and resiliency, and creating an equitable and inclusive opportunity with all of the city's communities. Jason had mentioned the Police Equity Commission that had met tonight. There's going to be meetings every other month involving the community and going around to get the residents, the citizens, the input, and they're welcoming or asking for the commissioners actually to come out and talk to the community councils as well and get your input directly. I guess one of the major things that the mayor had come out with that was kind of exciting is forming the first ever innovation department within the city. This will kind of help to drive the projects that make city government more efficient, more cohesive, transparent, nimble. The team will really work in creating a culture of innovation within the city to help modernize business processes and more standardize our approach to project management and streamline those inefficiencies, and using a lot of the data to help drive those decisions. And also the mayor put out a progress report card, and that I think it was at least 5 pages, but I'll put that link in the chat and you can take a look at that as well as her speech. And I wanted to also welcome Detective Nathan Meinzer. I've worked with him in the past, and now that he's the CIU, well, we formerly called it CIU, but he's the police liaison now, the detective liaison now. And I've worked with him in the past, and he's really sharp, and it'll be good to have him in our community. And can I answer any questions?
Tim, Elizabeth asked about big trash pickup. If you could check on that for us on how the city's going to structure that.
Sure, I will.
Any other questions for Tim? I guess I have one question. Do you have any timeline for when Salt Lake City Hall, the city and county building, might reopen?
Everything that we're hearing kind of coincides with the immunization and the vaccines getting out more prevalent. I know the governor had announced for all those age 70 and above to be prioritized. I think the last I saw, all of those reservations were filled. That goes through February. And so that was primarily his first target. Then they'll be moving to 55 and older. But I did see something this week with the movement of the school district opening, Salt Lake School District, that the community nursing, community nursing services are offering immunizations for the teachers and to get them to sign up for the vaccinations, to register for the vaccinations.
Yeah, gotcha. So the building is not related to structural issues. It's more related to getting everybody a vaccine. Is that right?
Yeah, just because it's a public hub where people are always coming in and out, and just in trying to make sure that everyone's safe.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know whether it was earthquake related or pandemic related. We got so many disasters, I couldn't keep them track. We have been publishing a lot on the vaccine distribution on the ELPCO Facebook page, including some of the hiccups that have happened. I hear there are more vaccines coming, but I think it's going to be a stop and start kind of process for the next couple of weeks. Latest I heard was that general vaccinations wouldn't happen till July. My understanding is that's probably optimistic. We are going to have, I think, at a meeting in the future, once we get a little bit more into knowing the plan, have someone come by and do an explanation, and then also probably have someone come by who's gotten the vaccine and tell us what that was like in terms of any, you know, what the process was like, what they did, and how it felt. So I can ask my wife. She's had both shots as a healthcare worker, but yeah, just to make sure everyone knows that, you know, what to do and what to expect.
We got him as education working in schools. So we had the first round.
That's fantastic. Great. Yeah, no, it's we hope the production picks up and the shipments start arriving. It seems like there's just a shortage of number of doses is what we're facing right now. And it's not that they don't have enough people to jab people, it's just that they don't have enough jabs. So they've got to work on that.
Promised.
Pardon, Judy?
They're sending less than they promised.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Cool.
I was out in Sandy with the EMS workers getting their shots, their second round of shots yesterday, 2 days ago. And I heard on the grapevine that a lot of people were having reactions to the second shots. So I'm just wondering if we could try and find information about that kind of.
Yeah, I was going to have someone come by and who's had both shots and talk about it. I mean, anecdotally, from my wife's perspective, she had no reaction to the first shot. The second shot, she felt a little bit cold symptoms and her arm hurt, but she was able to work. There was no major issue. It just, the second shot did seem to have a little bit more of an impact, but it wasn't anything that was debilitating or made her question it. So.
Yeah. Apparently, when you get the first shot, you get 50% immunity. But when you get the second shot, it pumps you up to 90%. And that's a shock to your system. So that's what they're feeling. It's not.
So if you get 3 shots, are you like 160%? Is that how that works?
No.
Or?
They don't even know the answer to when we have to get our shots again.
Yeah, well, it sounds like this is an issue we need to bring up. So let's have this come up at a meeting soon. I was going to try to wait until it became more generally available, so that it was actually an issue that people were, you know, not when it hits like 65 and 55, when a lot more folks are getting them. But maybe we should approach it now because people have a lot of questions. So
why don't you invite Tony Fauci?
Oh, Tony, sure.
He's my favorite.
Way back.
I would vote to get it on an agenda sooner than later, just so that we don't see a lot of people really deterred by the side effects. That, you know, maybe just get as much science out there as possible.
Got it. So schedule and side effects would be 2 topics to bring up. Okay, so someone who knows what's going on, and then someone who's had the shot and can tell us a little bit about it, and maybe even talk about other folks they work with who've got that. Okay. Any other questions for Tim? I appreciate putting all of that information there. I listened to the speech. It was a great speech from Mayor Mendenhall. She really covered a lot of topics, and a whirlwind year of her first year of the administration. So any other questions for Tim?
Just in addition to the innovation department that the mayor's creating, on the citywide, and has also asked other divisions to look at the budgets through the lens of equity in order to build and execute that plan. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, and obviously a lot on housing as well was mentioned in there, which is something that ELPCO is interested in. George, do you have a question? Yeah.
Yes, I do. I asked Detective Meisner last time for District 6, but it applies to Emerson School also, which is starting up. And after a year of no school, people need to be reminded that kids are walking to school again, and anything the city can do to publicize that fact would be appreciated, because the last thing we need is a kid getting hit by a car because they forgot kids go to school. So I really appreciate it if Salt Lake City would publicize the fact that kids are walking to school again, and be careful. Make sense?
Great point, George. Right. It's been so long. Our driving habits have changed. So.
And to George's point, they're also hiring crossing guards. So
you take a very active role in protecting kids. Yes.
I forgot. There's also, Tim, you may want to publicize the fact that you're giving away free lawn signs to slow down.
That's a great idea.
Tim.
Yeah.
Well, the city provides, they deliver lawn signs to anybody who wants them. And I think Handworker is the one who's doing it.
Laura Handworker. Okay. Well, we'll look into that, George. That's a great idea. We want to make sure that, we have a lot of walking kids to Emerson, and I believe second, third, and fourth graders start back this coming Monday. So there's going to be even more kids, especially those, once you get up to the upper elementary, those are the kids that do walk on their own, not without parents with them. So very good point to be safety conscious on that. I will stop going 85 miles an hour on 11th East now that you've told me that. So I will, with my hair on fire, as you can see, it works well. All right, we are at almost at 8:30. If there's any new business or any new issues that folks want to bring up, this is the time. I appreciate the COVID idea that we just added to our meeting list. Topics, any other things we could talk about or people want to bring up? Okay, hearing none. I just wanted to promote our next meeting in February, which will be February 26th. We're going to have Mohammed Baid, the new Salt Lake City School Board member for Precinct 5, on to tell us what it's like in terms of the school district, bringing students back. And by then, they'll have secondary students, the high school students, back. I think about 2/3 of students are going back to in-person schooling based on the survey results. And then we'll also have Laura Handworker from Salt Lake City Transportation giving us an update on the 800 East Neighborhood Byway, which is a pedestrian and bike friendly kind of traffic calming, street calming that's going to be going in on 800 East, running right through the heart of ELPCO. And a lot of our board members are involved with that and residents involved with that. So be a good discussion and find out sort of what that street might look like in the near future. And if anybody has other ideas, please let us know. We'll try to bring a new business to profile as well. And keep that going. Daryl, any closing words, ideas, things to bring up?
Thank you all for joining us.
Okay, and I apologize for the interruptions at the beginning. We'll work on a way to fix that. I'm glad things have calmed down, and luckily I can edit the video. So we'll do a little selective editing for what we eventually publish. So.
Maybe Detective Meinzer could take as his first order of business tracking that Ellie Glenn down.
Yep. I've already reported them, so we'll see. They get into Zoom jail. But in the meantime, I guess we are adjourned, and we'll resume next month. And everyone, hopefully you stay safe and healthy until then.
Thank you.
Thank you.